All right. So Michael Bruce is here representing Radioradiox.com, the Capital District, that's Albany and beyond, the number one publication for arts and entertainment and social media and beyond. Check us out, Radioradiox.com, the website. Let's see, we got Facebook, Instagram, the newspaper in 450 locations and beyond. So all 518 Capital District area for the arts and entertainment. And today we are interviewing a video interview. These guys were so cool to do this. We have Zach Allen and Harrison Marcello from the great, I stress great, band Tempt coming at us today, who's going to talk to us and answer some questions that I have and talk about their new album, among other things, of all things concerning Tempt. So, fellas, welcome to the show. What's going on?
Thanks for having us, man.
Thank you.
We can always count on you for a witty comment in our Instagram comment section. So we had to do this, you know?
Oh, thank you. Well, I appreciate that. Well, listen, you guys, I'll get into that in a second because I'm going to tell you how well you guys entertain me at a certain point in time, but we'll get to that in a second. Let's first talk the most important question that most people have about you out there before we get into the nitty gritty of all the music and everything is, which one of you are secretly dating Taylor Swift?
Wow.
That'd probably be Chris.
Come on, please spill it on my show so I get the scoop.
It's Chris. He's currently in a hard relationship with Travis Kelce at the moment because it's really tense and they're fighting a lot. But Chris is a man of mystery, and I honestly would believe that he would somehow get his way into
if someone told me one of us was dating, if someone told me one of the other members was dating Taylor Swift, Chris would be the least surprised I'd be about.
Yes, I'd say Chris and then maybe Nick.
Nice. Perfect. Great. Well, so the folks know out there, Chris Gooden is the great bass player for Tempt.
Yes, he is.
And Nicholas Burrows is the great drummer for Tempt. Great rhythm section. And I'm a rhythm guy, being a drummer myself, so I love everything that they're doing. It's great stuff. So first we had Runaway, which was the first album that you guys released in 2016, right? And then there was a single, Hot Summer Dreams, in 2020, right? And then was it 22, Christmas is the Time to Say I Love You, Billy Squier, right? Cover that you guys did. Little connection going on there with the band, right? And then but now, and I'm gonna what this is very important is we have this
the gold package.
Yeah.
See, now I have to tell you, when I ordered the Tempt album, ladies and gentlemen, and this all of a sudden this shows up in the mail, I'm like, what the? And I look at it and it says Tempt up here in the corner. So I'm like, all right, this is great. I love this. This is like the extra mile. This is cool stuff. Growing up a Kiss fan, they always had great stuff inside of their albums. So I always appreciate it when bands do just a little tiny bit extra. That's very cool. So anyway, I open it up, this great gold envelope representing a song, of course, the Golden Tongue. But Tempt, there it is. The CD, not the debut CD. I almost feel like it's a debut CD for you guys. Almost.
We feel that way too. I mean, we can get into this in more detail, but I think it feels like that for us too, because the first record, Runaway, was just Zach and I, and that was when we wrote that album back when we were finishing high school, and it was just us. And it wasn't until Nick and Chris came on around 2017, 2018 that we really feel like the band, we found our other two permanent members that were our age, that were amazing musicians, that were committed to the same vision, and then that's where this album comes from. So in a way it almost feels like our first album too.
For sure. Yeah, it definitely feels that way, just because Chris and Nick are very much involved in the songwriting process, arrangements, bringing stuff down to the studio, having them as writing partners, as well as, of course, Harrison really opened us up, and everyone brought in their musical influences. And I mean, we'll talk about this, Chris is a music encyclopedia. The guy knows your favorite band's favorite band, stuff like that. And Nick as well is super instrumental in that process too. So this really feels like our album, the four of ours, first album.
yeah, the four solid members of the band are now together. It's a complete unit.
Yeah.
And here's the result right here, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I kind of feel that way. I mean, no offense to Runaway, I mean, which it is the album that got me into you guys, of course, but I feel like, it's a little bit of everything on there. It's a little disjointed or whatever, but this is so complete in every single way. And if I may brag for a minute, I want to be the Tempt bragger for a second. So, ladies and gentlemen watching out there, I don't, if you like pop rock music, if you like hard rock music, if you like pop in general, if you like country pop rock, if you like just anything of that variety, if you like things that have an 80s flair, if I could go on sort of a little bit of a laundry list, but if it's anywhere in that general area, there's no way on the planet that you will not love this CD. And I have no problem. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm very, very passionate. And if I believe in something, I just like spew about it. So that's why it's like, I got to get these guys on here. I got to get the word out in the 518 Capital District up here in upstate New York about what's going on for people to see this. And the thing about this album is, and that, showing it to the world, get up close there. But the thing about, and this is a nice package, by the way, you guys autographed the CD. They did all that, we got some great, well, first we'll get into that later, but Chris Lord-Alge, of course, mixing it, right? Co-producing it.
Yep.
Ed Jensen mastering it.
Yes.
Those are all cool names, and I'm familiar with Sterling Sound and having worked on there myself and stuff. And I wanted to say hi to Ted one day when I was in there, but I go, no, don't bother him. Leave him alone. But it was really cool, because I'm like a geek and I do this stuff for a living too. So I love the liner notes. I love following all the stuff that goes along with what's put into records, and you guys have a great list of people, support group that worked on this thing. But first and foremost, here's the brag part. The songs are just fantastic. They're fantastic, guys. I can't even tell you how fantastic they are. And everybody out there, like, if you love a great hook, a great melody, it's all there. The mixing and the production on the album is all top notch and everything. But I've heard a lot of great mixing and a lot of great productions. It doesn't mean the songs were great. The songs are killer on here. To give everybody just a little bit of a clue, right? There's 11 songs on the record, all right? I will label the worst song on the record as a good song. I like it. It's good. It's catchy. I have no problem listening.
Tell us. I want to know.
That's the worst.
No, you said it.
Scrutiny. Here it is. But I'm going to say track 11, Addicted to Touch.
Okay.
Interesting.
That's interesting. Hey, that's totally fine. If you still consider it good, it's no offense.
But that's my whole point. Is it's the worst song on the record? I would say, oh, that's a good song, and that's the worst one. You know what I mean? Like it's just unbelievable the way the album starts. Welcome Me In, bass and drums. These guys are just killing it, and the way you guys come in, everything. Living Dangerous, of course, you did with Dorothy.
Yes.
And I will ask you about that. But, Two Ways, I'm just running it down for people. Two Ways, Burn Me Down, Hideaway, Camouflage, Golden Tongue, Sneaking Around, Roses, Girl, and Addicted to Love. Look them up. They're all out there on streaming services. I highly recommend buying the package because it's great. But the songs, this is what I love about you guys, which is kind of the really interesting thing about you guys, is the fact that the pop sensibility is all over the place, right? Like, in other words, it's almost like Harry Styles, Maroon 5, Ed Sheeran, Miley Cyrus, Taylor Swift, Lady Gaga, Bieber, The Weeknd, Coldplay, Charlie Puth. It's all somehow in there. But, right? Here's the but. Then all of a sudden comes crashing through the door Van Halen, Def Leppard, Bon Jovi, Winger, Mr. Big, White Snake, Danger, whatever. Hold on a second, guys. We're not going to let you just pop this out. We got something to say too, right?
Yeah.
Am I accurate with the influences that I'm hearing on this record, like just between the pop and the hard rock guys in your brains?
Yeah, I think that that really comes from us all playing together and all being players of our instruments, you know. So obviously if you're a guitar player, if you're a drummer, if you're a bass player, you're going to go kind of the founding fathers of the people that kind of invented how you play these instruments from the 70s and the 60s and the 80s. And, you know, we definitely have a background growing up in hard rock music. And I mean, I know as a guitar player, it's like when you learn guitar and you get serious about it, it's like you want to learn the Randy Rhoads solos, you want to learn the Van Halen solos. So I think all players, you know, even someone who's like a jazz player at some point goes through a phase where they're learning that stuff. So and we're a 4-piece live band too. I mean, we want to put on a great live show. Like the live part of our music is just as important to us as the production and the songwriting, the mixing. So, you know, we are a rock band. We have guitars, heavy guitars. We have, you know, guitar solos, big drums. But at the same time, you know, we don't just listen to the classics and the great stuff from the 70s and 80s. We are, like you said, listening to Harry Styles, listening to The Weeknd, the 1975, Miley Cyrus, all these bands that also really influence us. I mean, I've mentioned this already a lot, but the Weeknd record, Dawn FM, that came out probably a year and a half ago now.
It was last year.
I mean, I listened to that record nonstop, and you know, every little thing about that record, I'd be like, oh, imagine, you know, how could we incorporate like that kind of effect or that kind of thing? And it's, you know, taking rock to a new place. It's like, we don't want to just be recreating, you know, Led Zeppelin. We don't want to be recreating Def Leppard. We don't want to be recreating Van Halen. It's like, how do we take the stuff we love about that music, the energy, the songwriting, the anthems, the performance aspect, but give it, you know, take it to the next level for 2020 and in the 2020s and beyond, of like, you know, we have Golden Tongue has the dreaded auto tune in it. You know, it's like, we have melody, you know, Zach's singing on a lot of it. You know, he's a very powerful singer, but, you know, sometimes we have very kind of like poppy R&B melodies. The bass grooves can get funky, but it's all tied together between the four of us because we have this vision of like how we want to bring rock music in the future and not reinventing the wheel, but like, you know, building a jet aircraft basically.
Yeah. And ultimately we are just concerned with writing good songs and memorable songs and songs that you can sing after hearing the chorus once. And I think, you know, when you think of pop music, it really only stands for popular music. And so like for me, it feels like the music we make can shift into that, you know, pop world, even though there sometimes seems to be a divide right between pop and rock. I think, you know, ultimately we want to bridge that gap, and we just care about writing good songs. We throw our egos out the door. Whoever comes in with it doesn't matter. If we like it, we're like, yeah, this is it. We're
and
rolling with it.
And to go along with that, it's like we write songs that we want to hear. So there's never any kind of like, that's why you can have a song like Hideaway, which is, you know, much more of a kind of traditional upbeat rock song, and a song like A Sneaking Around, which has, you know, speaking of Justin Bieber, The Weeknd, like a very flowy R&B type of verse. And that's just because we're writing what we're being influenced by, whether it's, you know, stuff from 40 years ago or stuff that just came out a week ago.
Yeah.
And we're writing songs that we want to hear. And, you know, we also like, I don't believe in filler tracks or like album tracks. Like if we're not vibing with the song, or like, this is kind of subpar, we're not really feeling it, like we won't throw it away completely. We might shelf it.
Well, and there were songs that didn't make the record.
Yeah, there were
like
songs
that we had more than the 11, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm, you know, I know a lot of musicians know that you want to write more songs than actually the ones that end up making it, because you know, you can release them as whatever B-sides, special singles, you know, maybe on an album down the road or not, you know. But we're definitely not super precious about our ideas.
Yeah, no, we want to be, you know, everything that we do from a writing standpoint, well, from any standpoint, really, it's got to be like A+. Yeah. And if it's not, we're kind of not into it.
Exactly.
I love that. I mean, that's fantastic. And speaking of that, there's an acoustic version of a song that I just heard the other day by you guys. I think I might have heard it before, but I reacquainted myself with it. That is not on the record. And I'm trying to think of the name of the song, but I'm like, I love this song.
Crazy.
Maybe that was it. That sounds familiar. Yeah, Crazy. That sounds familiar.
Yeah, that might be on the next record. We don't know. Like in the time, since because we've said this a lot before, and I'm sure you know this because you follow us. Like, we've been working on this album for a while, and there was a while where it was finished, and then COVID happened, and everyone knows what happened, and so we had to wait, to put out the record. And
we wrote
in that time we wrote a whole nother record, right, which is where Crazy came from, and other songs that we've been teasing and stuff. But yeah, Crazy's a good one. That's especially acoustic. It really goes over well, and electric. We play a lot in the studio. But.
Yeah, we'll hear it for sure in the future. But listen, a plethora of good songs, or really good songs, songs that you consider A plus, to put on your record, and you're like, oh man, we got to cut something. Like, that's a good problem to have, So, because listen, there's a lot of groups out there that you might hear 2 or 3 killer tunes from, which is great, and then the rest of the tunes on the record are like, okay, that's okay, whatever. But that's what floors me about this. And you talk about live and playing live, and Zach mentioned the fact of you hear a chorus and you remember it, and again, and I've always said this in the songwriting with this, even for myself, as I do stuff for people or whatever, and I'm thinking to myself, if I don't like the song, or if I'm not totally jazzed by the chorus, or the mix, or whatever it is, it's like, well, then who else is going to like it? You know what I mean? So you have to love it first. Like, we're going to write a song that we love first and see what happens. But I'll give you a perfect example. So I told him I would do a shout out. So my buddy John Baird, who's met you guys before, big beard, bald head guy. Yeah. He's like, he got me into you guys, and he said, you got to check these guys. And he played me a couple songs off of Runaway. And I said, what the heck? I'm like, this is pretty good, man. I love the 80s flair to it. I love, whatever to it, but it was really cool. And then we went to see you guys in Jersey. I want to say must have been 2019. Would you have opened for Stars, maybe?
Yes.
Something,
right? Debonair Music.
Debonair. There we go. Okay. So yeah. So I just remember seeing you. Actually, I think he might have even said hello to you guys outside or whatever. But we go in and whatever. So this is the thing, and this is what I'm telling people who are listening and watching right now, is the fact of how good these songs are. I was only familiar with like a song off of Runaway. So and at the time there was a few songs that you guys played live that ended up making this record. I want to believe maybe Camouflage was one of them.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But I just remember you guys playing songs that I never heard before. And it was maybe 4 or 5 songs into your set. And I looked at John, I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? like it's like halfway through the song and I'm in love with it. And it's live. It's not even like it's in my CD player. I'm listening to the band play live. So when you hear a song live for the first time that you've never heard, and you're only halfway through the song and you're like, this is killer. And then the next one, this is killer. Third one, oh my God, this is, So I'm just saying, and maybe it's my ears that just love the sound, but the crafting of the songs is great. Take us through a night and a day with crafting a Tempt tune. Is it really, is it a combination of Zach wrote a line or Harrison wrote a line? He came up with a riff, or Nick had a drum beat, or whatever. Is there an average thing that happens to get a Tempt song on, that you like so much on a record?
I think the only the biggest through line with our songwriting process, because every song is different and some songs come together really quickly. Some songs we work on for a couple months and we go back on and we revise and stuff. But the one thing that is the same with all of them, usually, at least speaking for me, I'm not as motivated to write by myself. It's something that I enjoy doing with these guys because it's fun. I like bouncing ideas off of them. I'm not, I usually am not one to like come in with like a full thing of lyrics. I like to collaborate on that. That's just how I like to work. It's just a very open environment. We'll either be in, Harrison's room right there. We'll be in space. We'll be at the studio. Yeah. Well, we can, we'll change it up and we'll just bring in something. Sometimes it'll be a more completed track. Sometimes we will just jam on something. We're really hyped on something we've been jamming on in the studio that literally just came together because Harrison started playing a riff and Nick was like, ooh, and just started jamming. It was like, it was very organic. It was great. But it's different every time,
It's and it's kind of all those things you mentioned. There's, a song like, I'll give examples on the record. Living Dangerous was a song that did really start with kind of like a beat, like the drum loop that Nick had made. And he kind of had some chords with it. And then it was like, oh, check this out. And we're like, oh, this is really cool. Then there's other songs, like Golden Tongue, where we literally just in 2 hours like
Yeah,
sat
that
down
was
and just
quick.
wrote that. Like there was just like, oh,
Nice.
do this verse, let's do that. And then there's other tracks like that was the same with Sneakin', that
Sneakin' was
where we
quick.
wrote that. And then there's something like Two Ways, where funnily enough, my sister actually came up with the chorus for that. She's credited on the record. We had written the entire instrumentation for it, and then I was visiting her over in England because she was studying over there, and I said, "Hey, check this out," and she just came up with "There's only two ways." Baby.
Nice.
Chorus.
You like sent me the voice file. I remember that.
Oh, that's amazing. And then sometimes there's songs where they like Camouflage was one where it was top line first, so a lot of times our tracks will be like, we'll come in with like, oh, I just have like this melody idea that sounds like a great chorus. Now let's figure out the rest of the song from there. So it really is just so many different starting points for us, but we all are really on the same page in terms of how we want to write songs, what we want them to sound like, where we think they're going to go. And then someone might have an idea and they bring it in and then we finish it, or like a song like Golden Tongue or even Sneaking Around, those we just all like got together and just started writing something on the computer, on the keyboard or something. And that's how it comes about. So it's impossible to say there's a specific way. The only way is just that we want what sounds the best. So we don't really care. Like there's no like Zach said, there's no fighting about, I hear this a lot actually from other bands where someone might come up with a great lyric and another member gets jealous or something and they try to like change the lyric slightly, to put their own stamp on it or something like that. I added a the, or I changed and it actually becomes to the detriment of the song, because now your perfect idea is now getting diluted because people want to grab their thing. But we're like, if someone just comes up with something great or whatever, we are just going with that. Like, especially the main thing we really do all together too is the lyrics.
Yeah.
So like, especially like, coming up with chords and stuff, there's only like 8 notes in a scale to begin with. So that's not that hard. But the lyrics are really like, we'll be going back and forth. And then, I might come up with something good. And then Nick and Zach are like, yeah, that's it. Or then Zach might do it. And we're like, okay, that's it. And we're just, it's just great.
Yeah. The whole album was written by Chat GPT.
Excellent. So take us for a second with, you guys are getting, some things going, some momentum, whatever. I know you opened for Bon Jovi at the Garden. Just, little things here and there happening for the band. And I know that you're starting to put this record together and just everything is ready to go. All cylinders go for Tempt. And then the curtain comes down, right? Pandemic hits. It affected everybody in a lot of different ways. For me, I'm a full-time musician. I do all this stuff, and it was just like, oh boy, and work just went whoosh, gone, right? So, and for you guys, everything that you had planned on doing for new records, all just went down. And like, take us into, what was your mindset when it all goes down? Were you just like, okay, it'll be a month, and then we'll put it out? Or what was the conversations with your record company like? Just what was it like at that moment to be Tempt when you're ready to really kind of get something done and put it out, and then it's gone?
Well, it obviously sucked. And the European tour we did a summer ago, that was scheduled for summer of 2020. So like that was probably the biggest bummer, because it was like we were getting all hyped to do this European tour. We're
going to put out the album, then like do the tour.
And I will say the one silver lining of it is that we didn't put the record out, because it was the time of us having the final master was only like a few weeks after the like official lockdown started. So there's an alternate reality where like we got done a little bit quicker and put that record out, and then weren't able to play shows for 2.5 years or whatever it is. So, we've been patient for a long time leading up to that. And we knew we had a great record. So as much as it, pained us to not be able to play shows or whatever, we tried to make the best of it. Like we did live stream shows. We did a lot of, fan interactive stuff online. And we used the time to, like Zach said, write a bunch of music, because we knew as soon as this thing really gets lifted, which, in terms of the music business now, I mean, it's been over for like a year for like regular people, but for the music business, still like backlog catching up to going on. So it's really still in the start of the post pandemic in terms of the music stuff, because when we did that European tour in summer of 2022, that was already, was it 22?
22, yeah.
That was already a backlog from 2020, and stuff is still happening today that was supposed to happen back in 2020. So, you know, we took it in stride, and you know, it was unfortunate, but it stopped for everyone. So we still feel like we're on the same playing field with everyone else. It's not like we just stopped, you know, it's like the whole race on hold.
Let me say, because you guys were, you know, Zach had mentioned earlier, like, well, how could we not? You're always posting funny stuff on everything. But, you know, I just love having a good time. I love a good laugh. But you guys, during the pandemic, when we're locked up, you know, it was very refreshing. And that's one of the things that really got me hooked on you guys. You just seem like cool guys. I mean, personality wise, you guys seem just great, low key, like just awesome dudes to hang out with, have a burger with, watch sports with, even the lousy Rangers. Oh, sorry.
Hey, I'm not a Ranger. Cool.
Oh, you're not? Okay.
Islanders fan, yeah.
Okay. But you know what I mean? Like, just cool guys. And during the pandemic certainly was entertaining to me, because you guys were always up to something. You know, you're making a video, you're putting out music, you're doing fun. Zach's cooking show that I just love referring to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Time.
Well, but that's what I mean. You guys are constantly trying to find different ways just to interact with folks, entertain folks, even if it's not necessarily playing a guitar or singing, you know. And I think that that's cool, and you're using social media to reach people like that. Now, let me ask you guys your opinion or your thoughts on this. So here, you know, here's this, and this is, again, I'll say it again, it's absolutely outstanding. And radio stations and everything around the country or wherever should get on board with this and really be playing these tunes and whatever. But the thing of it is like, you know, I'm a little bit older than you guys. So like back then when I was a kid growing up and stuff, you know, you didn't have the internet. I know what it's like to have no internet in the world. Now, of course, it's here. And so the good, you know, the thing of it was back then you had, you know, your record companies, your A&R reps, and it was foot traffic. It was come to see the band live. It was knocking down doors. It was all this stuff to get recognized and signed, everything. And in a way, there was this sifting of, you know, entertainment, you know, and sometimes A&R reps got it right and sometimes they didn't or whatever, but that's the way it was done. Now, the cool thing is, like, yeah, anybody can do anything and they can put it out there. But now you have this unbelievable saturation. And so as some guys who are really trying to break through and have this great product, you know, how do you sort of push through it all to really, you know, get it out there, you know?
I think just staying consistent and with our vision and what we want to do. I mean, I think it does present a challenge having so many different like ways of listening to the music. And not only do you have to be a musician, but in some ways you kind of have to be an influencer too. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we love giving back to our fans. And like, that was the hardest thing I think about waiting for the record, was knowing that our fans were so patient and we're like, you know, everyone was getting frustrated and I get it. Like we were getting really frustrated as well. But the thing is, I kind of lost my train of thought. Consistency. It's consistency, and it's just sticking to what you want to do, and we're always genuine about it. Like when we're posting stuff, we have fun doing it. It's just about being genuine and true to yourself and sticking to your guns. Really, that's what I feel.
Yeah, and I think there's, like you said, there's this double-edged sword of, it's so easy to, you know, kind of be seen, but there's also so many other people trying to be seen that it's like this weird counter
cluttered. Yeah.
It's very cluttered. And what people, I think a lot of people don't realize, and with other bands or musicians we see, is that, like you mentioned before, the kind of old method of you know, an A&R person going out to a club and seeing a band and then signing them the next day, basically. And then the record comes out within a year and then they're touring. Because we see so much music, and you might be listening to even like top 40 and be like, I've never heard of this artist before. This must be some like overnight sensation or one hit wonder or whatever. The path to success in music now, whether it's in rap, whether it's in hip hop, whether it's in EDM music, rock music, pop music, is a much longer slog than it used to be for most people. Yes, there are your kind of viral acts that get big really quickly and stuff like that. But most people work at it for much longer now than they used to, because there is that mess that you're trying to get through, and you got to build this. You're not just a musician that plays well and has good songs and your record label does everything for you. You have to have a personality, like Zach says. You have to have the social media following. You have to have the Spotify listeners. You got to be also playing shows and putting on music. So there's actually a much longer path to the endpoint now than there used to be because of that. And there's a lot more work that has to get done from point A to point B. And a lot of people lose that really quickly because they, you know, let's just say like there's an artist who's a singer and they're singing pop music and they don't make it in 2 years and they're kind of stagnant at the same place. I see a lot of people who then, oh, now I'm going to become a rock singer, and then that didn't work out, so now I'm going to become a metal singer, and that didn't work out, and I'm going back to pop music. And so it really is about like doing the same thing over and over again, being consistent about it. Like Zach said, we have a vision for what our music is. We know where it's going. We believe in it, and not getting caught up in like, oh, well, we released, you know, we did a video and it got less views than the last one. Now we're like upset about it. It's like, it's the constant push. And a big thing that's going to come with that is touring, especially. We're working on that now, and we'll have some announcements about touring for us soon. But we saw firsthand how big our potential is when we were in Europe, and we were playing, you know, with everything from Iron Maiden, Shinedown, Airborne, Tremonti,
like Screamo,
playing after like a death metal band at Hellfest, and winning over every single crowd we played in front of, including Iron Maiden, which before the Iron Maiden show, I remember Shinedown came up to us, and we heard this previously. They're like, don't get stressed if like their fans throw stuff at you or if they turn your back to you, because I didn't really know this at the time, but apparently the Iron Maiden fans are notorious for like shitting on.
Well, they
on the opening band.
They put it so eloquently. They were like, Iron Maiden fans only see you as like a block between them and their favorite band, like a blocker to it.
But some of our best fans who we still interact with on social media, who are buying our music, who are posting about us, are from that Iron Maiden show. Yeah. So, you know, we know that like we see our potential and we know what it is. And I think a big part of that is going to be, you know, once this kind of backlog clears up and we get out on the road coming up this next year, I think that's going to be like our golden era. The record's already out. It's already getting amazing reviews, great traction. People are loving it. Now it's just about getting as many eyes on us and to the record as possible. And I think the live stuff is still going to be huge, and that's still a huge part in any genre of music, and almost now more than ever, because like you said, you don't have the record store, you don't have the infrastructure that's, you know, selling CDs to people and putting it in front of people. Like, people are finding their favorite bands now either on Spotify or they're going to a music festival. You know,
you gotta bring it.
So that's really our next step, and where I think it's really going to start to take off.
I was going to say, like, about the live show in particular, like, there are, you know, the other thing is that you're competing with, like, especially in New York, there's so many things to do on a daily basis here, whether it's going to another show or going to a game or staying home or staying home and watching on your Apple TV, you know, whatever it is. That's why it's so important for us to put on a special and like energetic live show, because people could be doing so many other things, but like, we know that if they're choosing to see us, like, we want to leave them with a memory and leave them with something exciting. And like Harrison was saying, being in Europe, everyone was so receptive to just the energy we put out, even if they, you know, didn't love the music. There was one guy, Chris always tells the story, when we were playing with Maiden, there was one dude in the front row that was like this the whole time, like, just like kind of arms crossed, like kind of like mugging, and like song by song he would like,
he slowly converted him.
And by the end, like, he like looked at Chris at the end and was just like, gave him like a thumbs up, and I was
and like,
won
him over.
That's what we live for, you know.
That's fantastic. Well, I love that you guys stick to what you want to do, because I'll give you a perfect example. And this is what kills me about, see, set, 60s, 70s, 80s, even into the 90s. Okay. Like pop and rock, there was not a divide. It was just a good song was a good song. Top 40, 1985, top 40 radio. I used to sit in my room with my drums, and practice 18 hours a day or whatever. And like whatever came on the radio would play to. But this is what it like a top 40 station would be like, okay, Whitney's on. All right. And then after that was Bryan Adams, right? And then after that was Taylor Dane. And then after that was Motley Crue. But it was all under this umbrella. And now it's like this stupid divide. And what, so I had a friend, right? This sums it up for me. I have a friend who went to a Maroon 5 show. Maroon 5 is great. They write great hooks. I mean, my goodness, right? How many great songs, right? And I'm a fan and all that stuff. But I always go crazy because sometimes I hear these songs and I think to myself, God, let's hear a few instruments. Let's hear all the machines. You guys could, but my buddy goes to a Maroon 5 show and I say, hey, how was the concert? And he said, wow, man. He goes, let me tell you. He goes, Maroon 5. He goes, what a great show that was. He goes, and I got to tell you, he goes, it was a little different. The music, I mean, they really sort of, they gave it some meat. They rocked it up, whatever. And I'm sitting there going, okay, yeah, of course. And I'm like, why can't the record sound like that? Yeah. Why in the world, Maroon 5, if you can hear me, Adam, record it like if you're so gung-ho on, yeah, we're going to beat this thing up live, then for God's sakes, record it like that. Oh, heaven forbid there's a distortion guitar on the radio. Oh my God. Right. I'm not saying that just because I'm a rock fan. I'm just saying it because I like people playing instruments and I don't like too many machines going. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think, it's interesting the point you make about the rock and pop divide. It's like now you have like pop music, and then you have like, in pop music encompasses, like I said, like dance music, hip hop, and pop, just standard pop, and
hyper pop.
And then there's like the hyper pop.
That's a thing.
Yeah,
hyper pop.
That's like
hyper, like 100 Gex and bands like we played with them in
Charlie.
What? Charlie XCX, yeah.
Who Chris hates, but I love.
Yeah. That's the biggest tension in the band.
Look out.
But to your point about everything kind of existing under this umbrella of like, oh, if it's a good song, it's a good song. It doesn't matter. I mean, people forget. I mean, we even had that up to a certain point, into like 2010, where I mean, that's the big meme of why everyone hates Nickelback, is because their songs are on top 40 radio for like 8 years straight, playing the same 3-4 songs over and over again. And I think the problem is rock kind of forced itself into this active rock ghetto where everyone's kind of recreating the same thing that, Nickelback and Shinedown already had that sound and did it the best that anyone's going to do it. And I hear a lot of new rock music that's kind of just that same, like very compressed, very wanting to be the same kind of riffs, the pentatonic stuff. And not to knock any of that music, but I think that's really what's kind of like ghettoized rock, is all these other genres have still been advancing. I mean, if you listen to like rap music that comes out, or even like The Weeknd, which is like a fusion between like R&B and rap and pop music, you listen to like that stuff now versus what was happening in the pop world 10 years ago, it sounds completely different. I mean, you had like Gwen Stefani 10 years ago, and now you have like Dua Lipa, and the productions are completely different. The way the songs are written is completely different. And rock music is still kind of doing very much the same on a production and songwriting standpoint. I think the statement we want to make with this album, and why so many people are latching onto it, is because we aren't afraid to like incorporate new stuff into rock music. And like, obviously we love rock music, and like I mentioned before, like Hideaway, like that's a very cool, like kind of straight ahead rock song, or something like Camouflage. But we also want to incorporate the fun stuff we hear in music that's evolving, that's been just getting kind of lost on rock music, and they're not taking new production techniques on, new songwriting techniques on. Like in Sneaking Around, we do like the anti-drop in the chorus, which you don't really hear in rock songs. Or Golden Tongue, we have the auto-tune, or the synth basses that we use, the funk. And I think, and those are all things that are really popular now. it's funnily enough, like the biggest 80s or like kind of retro revival happening is in pop music right now. Like
definitely.
it's all throwback stuff from Bruno Mars,
the last Dua Lipa record. So
so I think rock has really done a disservice to itself by kind of like thumbing its nose at like what pop music's doing and not realizing kind of the genius of it and where it's going. And we want to fully embrace that and take rock to another level. Like, no, rock totally has a place on Top 40 in 2023. There's nothing preventing it. It's just that no one is bringing it to that place that it needs to be. And I think we can do that because we listen to that stuff all the time. We listen to what's on the radio. We listen to new music on Spotify, new music on Apple Music, and are constantly trying to absorb that and take what we like from it, mix it around, add the temp stamp to it. And that's why I think this record and what we're doing has such big potential to like take off.
I feel like genre. Yeah. I feel like separating music into genres is kind of tough. And like, that's, people are just like, oh, I'm a rock fan, so I don't like pop music. Well, like, maybe behind
silly. That's such a silly thing. Yeah.
You have to, I think the best musicians like have an open mind and, listen to everything. And yeah, like why can't a pop song have guitars and why can't a rock song have like an auto-tuned little breakdown in it when I wanted my little hip hop dreams to come true? Yeah. And now
I love that in the production, right by the way.
Now Creed's like massive because of the Texas Rangers.
It's incredible. So let's for example here, for these fine folks, I'm going to click this right here and you guys should probably see something. And so for example, I want to say maybe it's this. Let's see what we got here. Oh, no. Yeah, hold on. I knew it was going to happen. You lousy bum. I wonder if it's because it waits around too long or something like that. Hold on.
Folks, this was working before we tested this.
We did. Yeah, these guys can definitely attest to the fact that it was working. All right, let's see if we hear something now. I'm going to go back up here, try this again. All right. And you guys see your album in a second. It should be. Yeah. Okay. It's there. All right. So I should be able to do this.
There we go.
All right.
I see you playing around, and oh, your eyes are locked on me. You got my attention now. Walking up to you, it's such a fine line. This is something different, girl, I can't lie. Are we gonna stay wasting our own time? Or are we out to make up your damn mind? We can't get enough. I gotta have your love. We gotta get in love. Talk to me, baby. Talk to me, baby. Talk to me, talk to me. We can't get enough, baby. If you want me.
Now, let me point out something. So I'm listening to this and I'm going, you could walk into like Jason Derulo's office and be like, guys, I got a great song for Jason. You're going to check this out, right? I could hear like a Jason Derulo singing this song. I really could. But then all of a sudden here comes Tempt, right? Yep. And you guys come in because, it's what you, like you said, we write what we like, we write what we want to hear. And I love the fact that there's this it's just a good song. It's just whatever it is, and this whole beginning part. And again, this is just an example of what I mean by like the rock and pop, like meet with you guys. And I could hear other artists and other songs on your record being performed by other artists. But then you guys come in with your influence and the way, you guys like to rock it up and stuff. And it's just a beautiful thing. Now that's a situation where that's concerned. Now this right here, that was sneaking around, by the way, you guys were hearing some of that. this song right here called Hideaway. I'm going to do a little bit of that. So that right there, right? That right there, I'm like, okay, so we went from like Jason Derulo's office into Def Leppard's High and Dry office, right? Because when you guys, first time I heard that song, again, great intro, right? Guitar riff going, down, right? There's something exciting is going to happen here. I can feel it. It's coming. And then you got crash, and then like, you know, the chug comes in, you know what I mean? And it's just like very sort of Def Leppard kind of High and Dry album, sort of just straight as an arrow. But what's cool is all those vocal accents, all those sort of whoa, you know, all these in and out kind of things, you know. And Zach, I gotta tell you, your delivery, I love your delivery in so many songs. I really do. It's like just you have a very, by the way, I try to sing along in the car. Your voice is Zach's voice is deceptively high, and it's because you really do have a great tone to your voice, and it's kind of like a warm tone. It's not the type of tone that you normally associate with like somebody who's just like, oh yeah, boy, that guy can hit some notes singing. It doesn't really come across naturally that way. But then when you go to sing with it, it's like, oh wow, okay, he's a little higher than what I thought he was. So it's a little bit deceptive, but I love so many songs, how you come into the song, you like barrel into it. And I'm going to give you another example right here, ladies and gentlemen, if I may, while I'm on the Tempt bandwagon here.
You may.
So this is, all right, this is Camouflage. Check this out. Playback here. Now, come on, man. You can't do that right now. Hold on. Jeez. Now, why would it do that? Let me reset this. Big moment there, and then all of a sudden, bang. All right, let me try this again.
Right. A lot of vocal takes. I mean, to your point, like we will do like an initial vocal, but once we play it live a bunch, we'll usually end up re-singing it.
Yeah.
It's just not the same when you're reading it off a phone, the lyrics off the phone, you know.
Yeah, we will always have like a first vocal pass where we'll do like most of the production, but then we'll re-sing at some point later down the line once he knows the song better.
Gotcha. So yeah, so trial and error until you get that take where everybody in the room goes, that's it, right?
Because if he's singing, if we just wrote the song like the day before, then we're like, okay, let's lay down some vocals. You know, he's not going to have the same, even though they're lyrics that we wrote, Zach's not going to have the same kind of understanding of like the emotion behind certain things yet. You know, he's just at that point trying to remember what they are or read them or figure out,
more just
these are where the notes are, placing it down. And he'll do a great take, but then it's like, if we come back to that a month later or 2 months later, after we might have played it live or rehearsed it, or he's had time to listen to the demo and internalize it more, then that's when you get the really good delivery and we do like a re-sing on everything.
Yeah, everything makes sense to Zach. He's absorbed who I am in this song. Again, and I'm sure you guys been through this a million times. Like if I'm working with somebody in the studio, you know, obviously we're talking about vocalists here. Somebody could sing every note correct, like beautiful, like performance as far as the notes are concerned. And then I'll look at the vocalist and say, yeah, but I don't believe a damn word you're saying.
Yeah.
Right? Because you want that message coming through.
Or you have like a David Lee Roth who can't hit a note, but he has a great performance. And it's worth it.
And yeah, exactly. Diamond Dave was, yeah, of course, nobody better at that, right?
Yeah.
So let's try this again with Camouflage.
Holding on tight. You never thought that you'd be playing the game tonight.
All right, let me stop that right there because first of all, I want to say something. So God forbid something happens and they throw me 6 feet under. Just the Tempt guys come in, boombox, press play, that intro to that song, and next thing you know, I'm up, shove the dirt off, guys. Thanks, I'm good. I'm back from the dead. Like that, just I mean, Harrison's bending practically, he's almost bending the strings out of tune there, but he's not. But just I can feel your fingers on that intro. It's just so right.
I'm vibratoing the chord, but I also do have a little kind of guitar keyboard that I also just slightly put under that to give it a little more of that kind of like boxy sound. I don't know. So I'm bending it, but I'm actually also playing the power chords with the keyboard part that is using like a guitar sample. But for some reason, the keyboard sound just had this tone that like I really liked with the guitar that you couldn't get on the guitar. So it's just like mixed like slightly under the guitar, and it's giving it a little more of like that 3-dimensional wobbly sound as those notes like clash with each other. So
that is, I don't know how you thought of that, but it's genius. That's great. Because that intro, again, I've just woken from the dead. Like it's so great. But then, so, you know, and then here we go. And then Chris and Nick comes in with those hats and just, we're going 100 miles an hour. And then here comes Zach. And just, you know, the girl sitting there like crocheting in her living room. And all of a sudden Zach like comes through the wall and he's just like, you know, play the game tonight. And, you know, Zach is just telling that person, this is what is going on. Right.
That's a really high vocal. That's one of those ones, like you said, where it's, I mean, that a little more than other ones is notable, but it's deceptively high. Like he delivers that so comfortably, but when you actually hear the notes or try to sing that, you're like, damn, that is a really high vocal.
Yeah. Like I said, man, I'm in the car and I'm like, whoa, Zach, whoa, I'm trying to sing with you here, buddy. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, sneaking around gets up there, man. Like there's definitely
woo. Let me keep going on this for a minute. Hopefully it works.
You beg for your life. Sound of the bark and send a shiver of fear down your spine. You sit away in the jungle. She got the watching eyes. I know the game's gotta fight. In the jungle. Not gonna lose her this time. Because I got my disguise. Camouflage. You're my brain, got my name. Camouflage.
Whoa.
I'm taking it, can't be saved. Camouflage. Don't go back, must attack. Camouflage, what you want. There's no rest for the best, baby.
Okay, did that go a little wonky for a second? Did you guys hear that go a little wonky or no?
Not on our end.
Not, oh, good. So maybe it sounded like it sped up and it was weird, whatever. But it's just great. I love the pre-chorus there. Like again, I love the way you guys use production to bring out certain emotions of the songs. Let's say, you know, like and the jungle, and then you know his drum part and everything. But just the way the vocals are produced there, you know, is great.
Yeah, it's like a tribal drum sound with the jungle that I also with the guitars in those pre-chorus, I was almost trying to do like an animal noise. Like, you know, it's like a little, it's a little bit in like text painting 101.
Yeah. What I was going to say or try to say, we had a little cut in the internet and power, even like what the heck happened there? So it's like Tempt rolls into town, the power goes out. So what I was going to say is at the end of Hideaway, there are some songs that I always talk about with a few of my buddies that we love from older records where all of a sudden the song is fading and there will be this guitar line, melodic guitar line going that's like the coolest thing ever. right? And then, but the album starts fading, and you're like, no, don't go, don't go. Where are you going? And at the end of Hideaway, Harrison starts doing that little melodic lick. Damn it, I'm like, no, don't fade, don't go.
Yeah, you got it's funny because CLA like hates when we do fades
Yeah,
on our
he's
songs.
he does
He's like, guys, you can't end every song with a fade. Like, even a bunch of our new demos, he's like, you have to have an ending. So
I actually know exactly what you're talking about. I love when songs do that. It's like painful, but it also makes it sound so much better because it's like fading away. It's like going off in the distance.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like all the way to the end. It was awesome. You know what I mean? And it's a great thing. And it's something that you can, and I've seen live bands with this, sort of unpurposeful teaser thing at the end going on, actually expand on it or actually play it live.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something like you can do live, is you can continue to play that lick or whatever, and you guys can jam on it or whatever. You know what I mean?
or we could be the first band to ever do like a live fade out.
Yeah.
The dims a little
And they're
bit.
just awkwardly
We just
playing.
kind of like start to walk off stage like slowly.
So anyway, I don't want to keep you guys have given me too much time as it is, and I'm grateful for it. And radiox.com is grateful for it, and I know that they're playing your tunes.
Nice.
And they started. I sent them some songs, some of my favorites to play off the record and stuff. They were excited about it. And before you go, just a couple of quick things. One, speaking of Ted Jensen and Chris, like working with those guys, very cool. They have input for it. Like, how does that dynamic work? Like working with Chris Alge and stuff like that.
Chris is really almost just like another band member in the sense that, when we first started working with him, growing up, like learning Pro Tools and like getting his like Waves plugins and watching videos of like how to mix and stuff, and basically learning from him through like the internet my entire like teenage and early 20s. There was kind of like a little bit of a celebrity factor when we first met him, obviously, and we're like, oh, our songs are gonna be mixed by Chris Alge, like this kind of intimidation. But he is a totally cool, totally down to earth guy. Like he's basically like just our guy friend. Like we just
saw him last week.
We just had dinner with him out in New York last week because he was at AES. And
I saw that you guys posted pictures of it or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and he just like, and we just have a totally like creative relationship with him. It's not like he dictates to anything to us or we dictate anything to him. Like he has ideas, he bounces them off us. Sometimes we try it, sometimes we might not. Sometimes I might not, believe it or not, like the way he mixed something. So I'll tell him, could you try to mix, could you try to add the snare drum like this or guitar like that? So it's just a totally equal footing creative relationship. And it's really amazing. And
yeah, I was gonna say though, like speaking to last week, he came down, he listened to a bunch of our new songs, like the ones that we're currently working on, and he would give us little tips here. He would get really excited about it, start writing something down, and then be like, oh, maybe try to do this part in here. And there were certain songs on the record where he had some arrangement ideas. I think
like Addicted to Touch.
In Addicted to Touch and
Hideaway.
And Camo too.
Hideaway and Camo.
What wasn't he the one that was like, you should bring back the do?
Well, he had the idea to put that in the reintro after the first chorus.
That's what
originally
it
was only at the end of the song, and it just
Yeah.
went to the chords and Camo.
Yeah.
The reintro, and same with the Addicted to Touch. He actually I don't even know if I replayed these. He actually like took the guitars from the ending and from in the chorus and made that intro solo like out of parts I already had, and was like, what do you think of that? And I was like, damn, that's cool. I don't think I even actually played it. So yeah, he's really big, especially working. He's being more involved with this writing process because a lot of the stuff on the last record we had already kind of finished writing, so he was really just involved in the production. But in this kind of writing process, we've been playing him a lot of our early stages of these songs, and he's given us ideas about arrangement ideas, editing ideas. Maybe you should try to make this more of a thematic bit in the song, and just in stuff, not really like really kind of broad stroke writing stuff and production stuff, but he's been helping us with that. And then I'm glad because he really wants to be more involved in the kind of pre-production and then the early production of this new stuff, which is, I think it'd be great. So.
You got nothing without a good song. That's what he said. He's
That's a
great.
good impression.
Thank you. I've been working on it.
That's fantastic. Oh my God. So that's great. I think there was one other thing real quick, maybe. I wrote a few notes if there's something on here. Just to throw it out there for people, Tempt obviously has their own great songs. They also love doing covers. There's a lot of cover songs that they do, I'm sure, just for the fun of it, or to pay homage to the song that they love doing. Some of them, they do it very much like the record. Some of it, they like to mess with it and switch it around. Some of it, they like to do acoustic. So check out Tempt on YouTube and all the great covers they do as well. Did Joe Elliott or somebody from Def Leppard comment on one of your...
My dad, Rick Allen. He's not my dad.
Oh, yeah.
I made that joke before. And I see with the curly hair. He shared it. Didn't what he said? Like, very cool.
Yeah, I remember we were sitting around the studio all day and we had put up the woman cover and Zach was like, Rick Allen just like retweeted our cover on Twitter, and I was like, "What? No way!
Well, that's a fake account."
And then not only did he just retweet it, but then their entire social media,
like
team,
the Def Leppard main account,
like on their Twitter and on their Instagram and
Facebook.
Facebook, all posted it up too, which was amazing. That a lot. Most of our most diehard fans are still from like that original.
We heard that. I think Joe heard it too. I don't know if
they
Joe
all
shared
heard
it, but I think they all heard it.
Yeah,
and
that's awesome.
Rick's awesome. They're all just we met them at a meet and greet once. It wasn't really like meeting them, but I hope
that was before the cover.
That was right before the cover. But they're really nice. They're really nice guys.
Yeah.
It'd be like, hey, we're the guys that did the cover.
Dad?
Awesome. Yeah, I know, right? My dad is Rick Allen. Wow, that's awesome. So anyway, they have the great covers out there. You guys obviously are doing a lot of videos for the original songs, which are I love all the videos. The videos are great. They're well thought out. Real quick, Golden Tongue, the scenery and the concept. Who's that? Who came up with that?
Okay, so that was...
It's awesome.
Yeah, that was something that, we had done. Well, we kind of thought of all the videos at around a similar time because, we really started, working on the videos last year or this past like winter, spring. And we're like, okay, we're releasing the record like, at the end of August. We already had a date for it. Like, we got to get these videos done. And we were trying to come up with like fun, or not fun, but like interesting, things that we could do. And one of them was this newer technology called a volume stage, which is what they use actually in the TV show The Mandalorian. That's how we found out about it. And it's, instead of a green screen, it's a big wall that projects whatever you want it to project on it. And in this case, we were using a 3D Unreal environment that shout out to Nikolai
the Macedonian maestro,
digital effects and kind of programmer we found through Facebook, believe it or not. And he built this environment for us in Unreal Engine. Like, we had come up with some mood boards and stuff like that. Like, oh, it'd be cool if we had this kind of futuristic rock stage on like another planet type thing, or in the future. And then he built this 3-dimensional space in Unreal Engine. And then basically what happens is that wall virtually sits in Unreal Engine. So you can move the wall around. Like, some shots you'll see like we have it like facing out. Some shots it's facing like the back of the stage. And then what happens is wherever that stage is virtually sitting in the Unreal Engine environment that is built, it projects it onto that wall. And then the cameras hook up to the computer in Unreal Engine. So they're also positioned virtually. And based off of that, it actually changes the perspective of the wall to where the camera's pointing to give you a 3-dimensional feeling of, because the objects will start moving. It's almost like if when people do like chalk art or street art where it like looks like you're gonna walk off a cliff or something.
Yeah.
So imagine that, but everywhere you walked, that street art move to where you were, so it always fit, like it always looked like there was a hole there. But if you started to walk around it, you then see the other side of it, or if you walk sideways, it would move with you, so you never lost perspective on what it was supposed to be. That's basically what this wall does. So when you see it, as the camera moves, the wall will start to warp and stuff and look kind of funny and get bigger, and parts will get bigger and smaller. But if you look at it on the camera, it looks like it's like an optical illusion where everything starts to become three-dimensional. So there's no green screen. All the stuff that's shot for Golden Tongue is all just the raw camera footage captured in camera. There's nothing actually done in After Effects or post or anything, obviously, other than like editing and color correction, but all that's in the background.
Because the camera is viewing exactly what we're seeing.
Exactly.
Because of that wall and the projection and everything.
Yeah, and the way that the projection will move in sync with the camera, so that it creates a constant feeling like there's this three-dimensional environment.
Yeah,
it's really cool. It's really cool.
Took a whole crew, like that whole crew. Shout out to all of them. Lazardo with the camera, man. Of course,
Studio Labs
in New Hampshire. Yeah, shout out to them. That was fun.
Yeah.
If you watch that video again, watch my neck, because like at the end of the video, all the necklaces I had on, like we were all styled for it and everything. Yeah. All the necklaces started like riding up on me, and like by the end I was like, okay guys. So watch it again and then think of the discomfort I was in with the necklaces, and maybe that'll give the video some new life for you.
I love it. That's great. That's awesome. Well, I love that you guys are totally seem to fall into the cutting edge of everything, you know, production, the writing, your vision of your songs, the videos. Like, I mean, there's just so much going on here with you guys. And this is like, you know, like the base of it all, where everything is revolving around it. And again, I mean, I can't stress to people enough that's out there that if you've watched this video, watched this interview or whatever, how great this record is, how great these guys are. And it's not just the music either. You guys are really cool guys too. I mean, I met you briefly, I think in Jersey. It was like a real quick thing, but
I remember,
like, just, you know, I just want to, you know, throw that out there, you know, because it's very, you know, listen, you guys are really cool dudes. But the album is Tempt, self-titled album Tempt, and it is available to be heard everywhere, every streaming service, YouTube. There's videos to watch. You can buy the CD, and it's fantastic. And guys, I'll be watching the whole way and rooting for you and spreading the word any way that I can. And radiox.com, same thing. Playing the tunes. You know, we'll get a review of the album in the newspaper for the hard copy. You know, things to read online. You know, I'll be doing that as well as far as this is concerned. But guys, good luck with everything. We thank you so much for spending an hour or so with us. Even the power went out, whatever happened there. And hey, man, we'll see you soon. And I hope to God I can catch a live show.
I know.
We'll definitely have a local, like, New York area show soon, and then touring as well starting next year.
Yeah, definitely. And you're awesome, Michael, man. You're so supportive of us and like spreading the word. It means so much, and we wouldn't be here without people like you. So thank you.
Yeah, and you guys also are aware of the how I accidentally ran into a bunch of Tempt fans at the M3 Rock Festival.
Yeah, yes.
I was like, this one woman comes over and looks at me and she's like, "Hey, are you Michael Bruce 5150?" I'm like, what? I'm like,
it's a real thing we've built.
Yeah, so that was really cool that it's building up all over. But anyway, it's great stuff. As much as I do this for a living, you guys put me at 12. I'm a fan of this. I love being Tempt in my car, singing, playing notes with Harrison. I'm grooving with Nick on bass. You know, whatever. You know, if somebody was driving with it, will you put your hands on the steering wheel, please? Like, stop being Tempt and drive the car. You know. So anyway, guys, thank you so much. I'm going to stop the recording of this video right now, and everybody check them out. We'll see you real soon.
Awesome.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Thanks, guys.